why jobs to be done and why does it help innovators to develop better products. And I believe that organizations today struggle to offer often what customers really need. They create products, they create services, but sometimes they don't understand what the customer is really buying. And you may have heard about this Peter Drucker quote, that the customer is rarely buying what the company thinks it is offering to the customer. So Jobs to be Done is really trying to understand what the customer actually is buying. And people want to get a job done. That's really what they want. A good example is like this 6-inch drill. That's another popular example. People don't want a 6-inch drill. Of course, they want a 6-inch hole in the wall. But actually, that isn't enough explanation, because they want to do something with the 6-inch hole in the wall. They may want to fasten a hook to hang up a coat. They may want to hang a picture of a loved one. They may prevent a cupboard from tipping over. So Jobs to be Done is trying to understand what's behind. What's the purpose? Why are people doing what they are doing? Unfortunately, very often they cannot articulate what they want. So it's our job as entrepreneurs to try to find out as best as possible what customers really want. So after working a number of years with Jobs to be Done, I mean, we felt it's really a breakthrough in thinking about customer needs. And that's, I think, is why it's so popular. It's because it's a better definition of a customer need. But we felt it takes a long time to explain what it is. And so one day I sat together with a business partner and we say, hey, let's try to come up with that makes it much, much easier to work with Jobs to be Done. And over a course of 3 months, we developed a canvas, which is like a poster you can hang on a wall. And you can document customer interviews. So we always interview customers about their purchasing experience from the first thought that they may need something new to buying and using the new product. And to understand that effort to try to make progress in life or in business, we are using that canvas and put like little sticky notes on it with documenting what the customer really thought or meant or felt, or any constraints they had when trying to make progress in that particular situation. So every time we do an interview, we use it. So probably thousands of times we have used the Wheel of Progress, and we create one canvas for each and every interview. And it helps us also later on to look at it and to talk with someone else about the interview and explain it in a very easy format. So people don't have to read all the transcripts about the interview. They just can look at the canvas. So here you can see the Wheel of Progress canvas. You can see these round shapes. It looks like a donut. And you can see on the outside ring, it's a timeline. It's like the customer journey, the steps that customers go through when trying to make progress. And here we put sticky notes of events. What happened? So maybe someone fell, someone got lost in traffic, someone was released from hospital. These events are driving progress. And you can see in the middle of the donut, it's like there's like a clock and there are arrows. These are constraints. Constraints makes it really, they make it hard to make progress. It's like a squeaky wheel. It's like the hub of the wheel that's not oiled very well, so it's hard to turn. So when people have lots of constraints, it's hard for them to make progress. And understanding what constraints means is very, very helpful. And then we are talking about also emotions and thoughts, positive and negative. So what are the things that drive people forward? What are the things that hold people back? Like habits, like the good old habits, like a rubber band preventing you from moving forward. But also at the same time, you may feel a push. You may feel a strong pain that causes you to look for a new solution. And of course, when you buy the solution, when you look at it, you have lots of questions. There are things you like that pull you over, and then you have anxieties. Is the solution really the right solution? Are they over-promising? What are the features? Are they really helping to make my life easier? And then we have, of course, in the usage phase, we want to understand how the jobs to be done were performed. What were still maybe some pains? What were the gains from performing the customer job? So all these elements we collect on a wheel of progress, and you can see here the different phases we try to capture. The passive search, then when people go out and actually look for a solution, when they try to decide and make trade-offs, and the experience phase. So we have this like 360 view of the customer, but not just as a customer journey. Here it's more meaningful because we also look at emotions, positive and negative.
So we're starting in the top left-hand corner. That's at the time when the customer is starting to look for a solution.
Exactly.
Then we move to the top right when they're actively looking for that solution. When we get to the bottom right-hand side, the trade-off.
It's like the phase where you test certain products, where you look at the pricing, where you look at benefits versus cost. And for salespeople, this is very useful information because they can do effective objection handling, because they know what the customer is thinking about the product, what concerns they have, but they also know from other customer interviews what the benefits were when using a product. And sometimes customers don't even know what they will get out of the product because they haven't used it, but we can learn from other interviews and infuse that knowledge into that phase and helping the customer make progress in that particular phase.
And then in the final bottom left-hand side, that's the end of the customer journey. At that stage, have they actually purchased?
Exactly. They purchase at, let's say, this is like a clock. They purchase at 6 o'clock. Sometimes there are buying events, so particular things that happen in life that they buy exactly at that time. And that's super useful information. And then, of course, we want to know the customer experience. And this is what the left bottom quadrant is about. It's about usage. It's about enjoying. It's about also maybe still struggling, get the job done. And then you can see the gap at 9 o'clock. There's a gap in this timeline, which is a phase where customers have adopted a new solution. It's like a new habit, and they don't long for a new solution. They're just happy. It's like happy place until they have the first thought. It's like this thinking bubble, and then the whole cycle of making progress happens again.
How does this approach to identifying what a customer needs and how a customer buys change the behavior of the organizations that are selling to them?
I think first and foremost, it helps to put the developing organization in the shoes of the customer, to take an outside-in view instead of an inside-out and very product-centric view. When we do interviews and put them together and present them as data, they have a great basis to make decisions on. I look at it as evidence why people bought the product in the first place. And it also shows, as I said before, how people struggle to make progress and how we can make lives easier for customers to move through the buying cycle, but also it helps us to create better products. A year ago, for example, I did a customer research project for a client that produced household appliances, and they had a project in mind with a certain product. It was pretty advanced at that time, and we did customer interviews. I think we did like 40 interviews with customers who bought different kinds of kitchen appliances, and we figured out that there was no customer job that we could justify the development exactly of that product. So as a result, they stopped the project and wanted to go back to the drawing table to better match their product idea to a real unmet customer need. I mean, you can say they probably saved like several million dollars of investment into the wrong product because there was clearly no customer need.
One of the busiest pieces of infrastructure here in Port Moresby is Jackson's International Airport. Now, you've actually done a study involving an airport in Germany, Frankfurt Airport, I understand.
They asked me to do to help them create kind of mid to long term air freight strategy. And they wanted to do it this time a little different than in the past. They wanted to talk to customers, so hearing the voice of the customer actually. So I did a number of interviews with key stakeholders in air freight. There was freight companies, there were the airlines, there were airport handlers, and also a number of customers we talked to. So end customers shipping their goods through air freight. Air freight is incredibly expensive. Yes. So there must always be a good reason to not ship it like by ship or by train or by truck. So we really had as an outcome of the project a long list of customer jobs that we saw. Customer jobs by the airlines, by any of these stakeholders that I mentioned before. And I helped them to go through the list and prioritize it so they really focus on the most useful ones that are most useful for the customer and useful for them as an organization, because of course they want to make a profit and not lose money by focusing on and helping customers on certain customer jobs. And there were two particular startups that benefited very differently from the Jobs We Done research. One was a virtual reality design software company. So they use virtual reality to create free form in like a virtual space. And there are many applications. There are maybe 100 applications for their technology. And they really didn't know which is kind of the sweet spot. What is the application? What's like the killer application of our technology? Mm-hmm. And what they discovered is like in the automotive industry, when they create these shapes of cars in a clay form and scrape it and refine it and so on, they found that it's much easier, quicker, cost-effective to do this in virtual reality, and you can involve people from around the world. So maybe the designer is like in California, in San Diego, the product manager is in Stuttgart, and a production is in, let's say, in Beijing. And then they can involve people from all over the world to contribute to that design and discuss it in real time. The other example was e-learning startup company that I work with, and they use Jobs We Done to change their website from a product-centric website like Product ABC to a job-centric website. So when the customer comes to the website, they can look at all the customer jobs they have, and they can get done by using that software product. It is about aligning the organization with the customer, which is like understanding what the customer wants to accomplish, creating any sales, marketing, but also product material that's going to help the customer make progress. It's bringing together these silos that often exist in organizations and breaking down these walls between the silos, because they all work on the same customer job. They all contribute to strategy. And the external results to the customer are that the customer feels much more welcomed by the company, because they think, well, they understand me. They suddenly understand what I really wanted to accomplish.